All right, guys. So we're going to be graphing exponential functions today. Now, we did a little bit of an activity before where we, guys, I'm teaching. Right. So we did an activity before where we kind of introduced graphing a little bit, and that's just to kind of like prepare your minds for the process. But what I'm going to show you today is kind of like the regular process you use, a little bit quicker. So before we begin, though, I just want to review some stuff with you guys. So real quick, if I gave you guys this, there's a couple of things that we already know about this. First of all, if you know the answer, feel free to raise your hand. What's the y-intercept? Who said 2? Samantha said 2. That's right. All right. The answer is 2. Why is the answer 2? Because we found that's always what the y-intercept ends up being, and the reason for that is because the y-intercept is what you get when you plug in 0 for x, and any number to the 0 power is 1, and so 2 times 1 is 2. But just as a nice shortcut, it's always going to be the number in front that doesn't have an exponent on it. Now, just so you guys know, what if I gave you one like this instead, though, and I said, what's my y-intercept? It would be 1. It would be 1. It's not 0. I'm glad nobody said 3, but it's not. So in this case, it would be like a 1, just so you know. Okay. Now let's go back to the other one though. Next question. If I were to graph this, would it look more like this, or would it look more like this? We'll say A and B. Which one? Raise your hand. Samantha Fox. No, let's go ahead, Samantha Fox. Why would it look like A, Samantha Fox? How do you know it's wrong? Uh-huh. Huh? That's the answer I was looking for. When this number here is bigger than 1, the B value, when that's bigger than 1, it looks like this. If B is less than 1, like let's say it was a half, right? Then it would look like that more so. Okay? Now, all the problems that we've been doing have an invisible horizontal line that they get closer and closer to. Someone care to tell me what that is? Yeah? It's called an asymptote. Now, on every problem we've done so far, the asymptote has always been the same. So what's the asymptote always been? 0, Micah? It's been 0. Now, to be more specific, it's always been y equals 0. So the graph is getting closer and closer to the x-axis, which is where y equals 0. Now, today, this is not going to be the y-intercept necessarily all the time, but you'll see why. And the y-intercept, or the horizontal asymptote, will not always be 0, and you'll see why. But but those numbers still are useful in finding it. But one thing that is going to stay the same is this factor right here. The fact that if b is greater than 1, it looks like this. If b is less than 1, it's this. So let's go ahead and throw on a new fact here. Just as another quick review, you can raise your hand and tell me, if you have a function that looks like this, let's say you graph it, and that's f of x over there, what would that look like? It's a little negative in the front. Yeah. It's a sad face. Good. Flips it upside down. So that's a transformation. We learned about that a little while ago. So that's going to come into play as well. So here's where you guys can actually start taking some notes here. So just be copying this stuff down in here. So here's what we've discussed so far. We've discussed that if b is greater than 1, the graph looks something like this, right? And then we've said that if b is between 0 and 1, the graph looks like this. I'll wait till you guys finish writing there. Okay. Now, every problem we've done so far has always had something subtly in common with each other. I've always been giving you problems with a positive a value. This number in the front has always been a positive number. Okay? But if I go ahead and make that a negative, what we said, if you make your function a negative, that flips it upside down, right? So can you guys imagine what this might look like then? It's like this guy, but flipped upside down. So it would look like that. Good?
Kind of like what we were doing a couple units back.
Yeah. The reflections? Yeah. Yes, it is. And this one would look like that. So we're expanding our horizons a little bit today. We're taking what we've learned, and now I'm going to tell you that now these things can be flipped upside down depending on whether the a is positive or negative. Okay? So we'll keep that in mind. All right, you guys ready? No. I'll pause it. Are you serious? No, I'm changing this. You can get it. Just bum it from a neighbor. Just take a picture. Here we go.
But they're not talking. That's not allowed.
Yeah, you said the copies are allowed, but this is no.
I know. I'm an inconsistent person though, so.
You're a hypocrite.
Yes. Thank you.
I said that with no shame. Yeah.
Graph. Okay. So one. Here we go. Let's do -3 parentheses 0.5 to the x equals y. We're going to graph that. But we're not going to do it the way we were before. The way we were doing it before is I just had you plug in a whole lot of points and put all the dots on there, connect the dots, and that takes a while. So that the goal here today, I'm trying to get you guys to see some shortcuts so you can just kind of get the graph done quickly, all right? So here's what we know, okay? We already know that the horizontal asymptote, for now, is what? Y equals 0. So let's write that. That's the first thing you want to identify, is the fact that our horizontal asymptote, in this case, is y equals 0. All right, the next thing we want to identify is what kind of a shape are we looking at? Are we looking, well, that's actually where our little chart comes in handy. So let's go ahead and put shape. We're just going to put shape here, and we're going to put C chart. Okay, now let me ask you guys, which number up here is the A? -3. So that means A is negative, right? And this is my B value, right? Is B less than 1 or greater than 1? Okay, so look at your chart. Let's back up a little bit. And I want you guys to, don't shout it out, but I want you to see if you figure out which shape fits. Just kind of ponder it and look at your own paper there.
Are you gonna give us like an
You guys are shouting it out. I just told you not to.
I did.
Oh my
I
gosh.
just said it's one of
Are you
them.
gonna label them A, B, C, and D? Or are we just gonna have to like describe the shape?
All right, now I'm going to ask now, I'm ready. I want you guys to say top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right.
Bottom right.
Top
Bottom right.
top right. You're looking
Bottom
at
right.
Bottom right. Okay, good. So we're going for this shape here, right? Because B is less than 1 and A is negative. So that would be that shape there in the corner. So we're looking at, it was like this, right? Oh, and I forgot something. Actually, I usually like to do that third. I like to do that third. The second thing I like to do is I like to do my y-intercept. So what's my y-intercept? It's -3. It's this number in the front, remember? All right, so it's -3. Okay, so once you guys know your horizontal asymptote, your y-intercept, and your general shape, you should be able to get a pretty nice picture going, okay? So here we go. Let's sketch a picture real quick. Trying to get this. There we go. They're still all there, honey. There's nothing different. All right. So, what is my y-intercept?
-3.
So let's put a dot at -3, shall we? Do that. Now, I'm also going to graph my horizontal asymptote. We said that's at y equals 0. That's just the x-axis there. And now I'm going to put that shape on this graph so that the asymptote is, I'll sketch it here as well. Should look like that, right? And it should also touch that dot. Okay? So check this out. It goes like this. You guys good?
Sure.
Does that kind of look like that shape?
Yeah.
Does it hit the dot? And does it get flat up against that red asymptote there? We're good. So that's how you do it. So you don't need to plug in a billion points, right? You just need to do 3 things. Horizontal asymptote, y-intercept, shape. And you can get a pretty decent graph of it. Okay? So let's do a guided practice. So I'm going to call on you this time with my cards to have you walk me through it. Ready? So let's do 5 times 2 to the x power equals y. All right, so first question I'm going to ask you is, don't shout it out because I want to use my cards, but I'm going to ask you what's the horizontal asymptote. And Joanne, what do you think? It's 0 again. Okay, so that's an easy one. That's always going to be the same. Well, until we get to example 2. All right, next question I'm going to ask you is, what is the y-intercept? So go ahead and think about it. Don't shout it out. I'm going to call on you in just a minute. That. That's where you're wrong. It's a kitten. Nothing. I just felt like you needed to be contradicted. What do you think, Alexis? 5. 5 is right. All right, number 3. Now we get to, now I'm going to ask a couple questions for number 3. We got to find the shape, right? But to do that is a little bit more thought process. So Eric, is A positive or negative? Or actually, what is A? Let me just ask that. What's A? 5. So that's positive, right? Next thing, Kenny, is B greater than 1 or less than 1? Greater than 1. So we're looking for the spot on our chart where A is positive and B is greater than 1. I'll back up here so you guys can see the chart, and then I'll ask you to tell me which one it is. CJ, Christopher Jones. What you got? Top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. All right. All right. The next thing you got to do is we got to graph it. So Chris has told us that our graph should look something like this, and he's correct. So now I want you guys to graph this thing. You should start by graphing your horizontal asymptote, that flat line, which is already there really, and then plot your y-intercept, and then put that shape on there so it hits the y-intercept. Give it a shot. I'll call you up here to sketch your graph in a second.
Okay, I'm gonna stop.
So let me ask you some questions. Is the horizontal asymptote correct? Is that y equals 0? Is this the y-intercept 5? And does this shape kind of match that shape? And we're in business. So what part? Okay. So let me throw another one at y'all. This one's a student practice, meaning you're gonna do it on your own. Yep. Here we go. Y equals 4 negative 4 2 x equals y. Oh, I already put the y. All right. Go ahead and try to graph that. I'll give you a few moments. All right, guys. So there's our answer. We're gonna add something to this now. So. All right. So now, new question. throw your hand up in the air if you want to take a crack at it. So if my function looks like this, what would this look like? Let me go to, I want to do somebody I haven't talked to yet today. Nelson. Or no. It moves it up one. So this would look like this.
So to go on the what? Oh, yeah, because it's not negative. But if it was a negative plus one, won't it like instead of negative one?
All right.
No, negative F.
Do we write that down?
No.
I don't know.
But, Henry, I'm calling you.
Yes.
Get it? But. So, look, we're dealing with exponential functions. So, right? They look like this. You guys agree? All right. So if I add 1 to this function, it goes up, right?
So that's simple.
Now,
My
Hannah?
brain's gonna sound extremely dumb in like 3 seconds.
Wait, so the
I'm not getting a whole lot of attention from. I got a lot of people staring at phones right now. Micah Rowan should be with me. Hannah, put your phone away. Guys shouldn't be having side conversations either right now. Shouldn't be hitting each other in the head. Ready?
Hannah, turn
I
around.
don't even know. It's
Still waiting? All right. So now what we've done so far is our horizontal asymptote has always been here, and let's just say that's my y-intercept, which we're going to call a now, right? So if I take this function now and I add 1 to it, everything goes up 1. So now this is no longer a, but now it would be a plus 1. This used to be y equals 0, but now it's going to be y equals 1. Okay, so when you add a number to your exponential function, right, that affects 2 things. It affects your asymptote and also affects the y-intercept. So here's the deal. This number basically just becomes your asymptote because it used to be 0, right? So if you add 1, that's your new asymptote.
But you have to add 1 to y.
You also have to add 1 to your y-intercept. So now your y-intercept is no longer a, but it's a plus that number. Okay? So I'm going to give you guys some steps to copy down here, and then we're going to do some examples for that, and then we'll be done for the day, okay? So let me do black here, though. So graphing a, b, x plus c equals y. All right, so step 1. We're going to start by graphing our horizontal asymptote. Now our horizontal asymptote is going to be different since I have a plus c on here, right? My horizontal asymptote is no longer going to be 0. It's going to be c. Whatever that number on the far right is being added or subtracted, that's my horizontal asymptote. Henry, taking notes for this. Number 2, the next thing we need to do is we need to find our y-intercept. My y-intercept used to be just a, right? But now it's a plus c. The third thing we're going to do after that is we're going to get the shape of our function. And for that, we're going to use the chart that I gave you guys. And after that, you should be good to graph it. So that's the only difference. When you have a plus c, it's going to change your horizontal asymptote and y-intercept a little bit. But other than that, you're pretty much good to go.
We're pretty much just adding.
Yeah.
Lit.
All right. So I'm going to do 2 examples with you. And then after that, we'll let you guys start your homework if you want to. Did you guys get a chance to write this yet? Everybody good? Sure, dude. Just make sure you close the door behind you, Heidi. All right, here we go. Example 2. Here we go. Let's graph again. All right, so let's say I have 3/4 x. I'll make this a negative, plus 2 equals y. All right. Here you go. All right, you guys ready? So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to, what was the first step I wrote?
Horizontal asymptote.
Okay, the horizontal asymptote will be y equals c, right? And what is my c value here?
2.
It's 2. I think I'll label these. If you want to, you can. It might be helpful. But so y equals 2 in this case. All right. What is my next step?
Your y-intercept.
Y-intercept. My y-intercept we said was a plus c, right? So what's a and what's c?
-3 plus 2.
Which is, so now my y-intercept is that. Okay? It used to be -3, but since we're going up 2, it puts it at -1, right? All right, last thing, we need to get our shape down, and that part's not any different. My a is negative, and my b is less than 1, right? 3/4 is less than 1. So, shape.
Bottom. Oh shoot.
Bottom.
Bottom right. Bottom right. So
Yeah, I
it
think
kind
that
of looks like a.
All right. After that, guys, we're ready to graph. So, now last time we really didn't even really need to graph the horizontal asymptote because technically it was just the x-axis. So that's kind of the new part for our graphing this time. My horizontal asymptote will be here now. I've got to go up 2, and then I'm going to put a dotted line right here for my horizontal asymptote. Now my y-intercept is -1, so I'm going to put a dot right there. And now I'm going to draw that shape over there. It has to get, flat up against that dotted line, and it has to hit that dot, so it's got to go like this. You might be tempted to do this, by the way, because we've gotten used to stopping at the x-axis, right? But don't do that. We're going to stop at the dotted line, the horizontal asymptote, right? All right, let's do another one. And this one, I'm going to throw one kind of a new idea at you here. Slightly new, not really new at all, actually. I want to make sure we do at least one example including this. All right, number 2, or B, I guess we'll call it. Y equals, say 2 to the x plus 3. What number are we missing? A, B, or C?
A.
We're missing A. So if it helps you,
That's
So
just one.
what?
yeah, we talked about that, right?
Yeah.
If it helps you, I would rewrite it like this. Wasn't it a 2? Oh, yeah, the exponent. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that, sorry. Got a little carried away. Felt generous with the 2s. Just giving them out for free. That's what your mama said when you was born.
Are you recording?
Yeah,
Keep it in.
that was for you, old man Yanchesky. All right, so here we go. We're going to talk to, not Kiara, she's gone today. Let's talk to Hannah.
What?
Hannah, what is my horizontal asymptote, Hannah? Try. It used to be.
1?
No. It's
Oh, it's 3.
that number. All right, now it's time for our y-intercept. Think about it. Call on you in a second here. LaFontaine, what do you say? The y-intercept. 4. Can you say it again though, like enthusiastically? You will. I want to smile. Enjoy while you say it. 4. All right, Henry, I want you to help me with my shape. Top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. Ponder.
Left.
Top left is good. Top left is good.
Bottom left, and then
So it's going to look like this.
oh yeah. Yes, sir.
All right, now we're ready to graph. I'm going to ask Kayla Olgart to come on up here and graph for me my horizontal asymptote. Look. Look.
Did you have so much call? Mr. Bailey.
Beautiful.
You're gonna run to the bathroom?
All right. Now I'm going to ask Natalie Carpenter to plot my y-intercept. Just because I'm a nice guy.
Go up there.
Wait, I have to go up there? I don't know where I'm supposed to plot it.
Can I plot it? I know where.
Still up on the floor.
All right, come finish it for me, Jonathan.
It's flipped, right?
I can't believe it volunteered for this.
You can just finish it. So we're going to put our dot at 4 there, and we're going to draw the shape. All right.
Make fun of my arrow again.
All right. We're good.